In the European Parliament, an update on the latest Brexit talks. What's in it for the taxpayer? The crisis in Spain over the independence movement in Catalonia and the European response. Fighting the growing threat of cybercrime with legislation targeting terrorists, hackers, and others while protecting the public. And plans for EU Fraudbusters, creating a European prosecutor's office to track down hundreds of millions in missing funding. Hello and welcome to our roundup of the European Parliament's latest plenary session here in Strasbourg. We begin with Brexit. MEPs got an update on the latest EU-UK divorce talks after both sides reported making some progress, but EU officials say not yet enough to talk about future relations. In Parliament debate, European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker noted there are still serious sticking points, including money and protecting EU citizens in the UK.
The negotiator made good progress on citizens' rights, but the indispensable role of the European Court of Justice in guaranteeing those rights still needs to be agreed.
The EU's chief Brexit negotiator noted the money question is linked to past funding decisions of the EU 28, including Britain.
Nous n'accepterons pas de payer à 27 ce qui a été décidé à 28. C'est aussi simple que ça. Et les contribuables des 27 États membres de l'Union n'ont pas à payer les conséquences d'une décision qu'ils n'ont pas prise. Rien de plus, rien de moins.
EPP Group Chairman Manfred Weber blasted Britain's Prime Minister as well as her foreign and Brexit secretaries for the lack of progress.
The top question, I think for the moment is, who shall I call in London? Who speaks for the government? Theresa May, Boris Johnson, or even David Davis? Theresa May, please don't put your party first. Put, please, Britain first. Put, please, the citizens first. And please, no more speeches. Show leadership on content. And the best probably would be, please, sack Johnson.
The EU 27 are insisting that the UK agree first on Brexit's price tag and citizens' guarantees before talking about future trade and other ties. We turn to Spain after an independence vote in Catalonia deemed by Spanish judges to be illegal. In an extraordinary debate in the European Parliament, all the major parties sided with the Spanish government and made clear that self-proclaimed independence would mean leaving the European Union. European Commission Vice Chairman Frans Timmermans said the Commission considers the regional government in contravention of Spain's constitution.
There is general consensus that the regional government of Catalonia has chosen to ignore the law when organising the referendum held last Sunday. That does not change the fact that we have all seen saddening images from Sunday. Let me be clear. Violence does not solve anything in politics. However, it is of course a duty for any government to uphold the rule of law, and this sometimes does require the proportionate use of force. The European Commission has called on all relevant actors to now move quickly from confrontation to dialogue.
Less than half of Catalans cast ballots in the vote that left hundreds of civilians as well as police injured. Manfred Weber spoke for the EPP Group.
We are sorry for all people hurt. We stand behind Spain's integrity. We support the Spanish government and the politicians who respect the rule of law, and we ask everybody for a constructive, peaceful dialogue in a European spirit.
And the EPP Group, through its chairman, issued a stern warning.
Who leaves Spain leaves the European Union. This means leaving the internal market, this means leaving the Schengen area, and it means leaving the Eurozone. Is this really the Catalans' best interest?
Next, cybercrime busters. The EU wants to crack down on cyber criminals and terrorists by forming a new agency with stronger powers and greater reach. Parliament approved a report that notes a dramatic rise in cyber attacks involving 80% of EU companies, and that urgent action is needed. The European Commission has proposed upscaling an existing authority to create a permanent EU cybersecurity agency. It would double its budget to 23 million euros and increase its staff by 50% to 125 people, including incident response teams. The author of the Parliament report is Elisabeth Vosenberg-Vrionidi of the EPP Group, a longtime criminal and family lawyer.
The cybercrime is particular crime, is a sort of crime that the prosecution, the detention and the research, the investigation are not so easy. They are very difficult than in the traditional crime. And you have to know that the statistics, according to the statistics, 50% of the annual crime in some member states are online, happen online, which means that the problem is very serious.
The report also calls for an action plan to protect children's rights online and offline to fight sexual abuse and cyberbullying.
They are in danger because the majority of the users, and especially the young children, don't know how to be protected because there is a lack of awareness and knowledge.
From cyber crime busting to fraud busting. How about this figure? 600 million euros. That's how much the European Union estimates it loses in fraud every year. And yet there's still no EU prosecutor. Well, that's about to change. Parliament gave the green light for a European Public Prosecutor's Office, coordinating investigations across the EU. They'll have the power to seize assets and order arrests. The EPP Group's Barbara Matera authored the Parliament's resolution.
Alcuni esempi sono le frodi per IVA, come per esempio anche la frode carosello, quindi mettere in atto una serie di attività economiche a discapito di un soggetto secondario, e tutto questo avviene in maniera fittizia.
But how did it take so long to create a fraud-busting office? Matera explains.
E la risposta è perché soltanto attraverso il Trattato di Lisbona, che è avvenuto nel 2009, ci sono state le basi giuridiche, le basi per poter poi istituire una procura europea.
That's all for this Strasbourg session. See you next week in Brussels. And find out more about the activities of the largest political force in Parliament by checking eppgroup.eu. Thanks for watching.